What's up, guys? I'm Scott, and I am a top selling real estate broker, and I help people, especially people from YouTube just like you, find and purchase a home in mid-Michigan. So if you're watching this and you're considering moving to mid-Michigan, be sure to check out my channel and my other videos, learn everything there is to know about the area, and it should help you determine whether or not this is where you should end up moving. And of course, there's nothing I like more than getting messages from people just like you. The farthest away I think somebody has reached out from was in Utah. And at first they weren't sure whether or not they were going to be able to accomplish this being so far away. But I actually helped them with video tours of homes. And until they were actually able to come visit, I was sending them videos of all the listings that they were interested in. And I helped them determine whether or not this was the spot for them. In this video, I'll be talking about the cost of housing, which I'm very familiar with, the rental rates, healthcare, groceries, and entertainment. And I'll be comparing it to some of the other big cities in Michigan. So it should help give you a framework to determine whether Lansing's the most affordable area to live in mid-Michigan. And if you're considering moving specifically to Lansing, be sure to check out some other videos I've posted about that market. So there are a ton of pros and cons about living in Lansing, Michigan. But obviously one of the big ones, and one of the reasons you may be considering moving here, is because it has an extremely low cost of living. There are several homes for sale in the market at or below $100,000. And you can get an extremely nice home for about $300,000. All of the suburbs of Lansing have around an average sale price of $300,000, while the city of Lansing has a sales price closer to $150,000. At the time of this video's recording, I currently have 2 buyers that are under contract on homes at or below $100,000, and they're very nice homes. So obviously, in comparison to the rest of the United States, Lansing, Michigan is an extremely affordable place to live. The average person in Lansing is making about $60,000 a year, and the average house that's for sale is $150,000. When you compare that to the national average, which is $250,000, you can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here. If you're thinking about renting, the average rent rate in the area is about $900, with $500 being the low end and $2,000 being on the high end. We have some awesome new apartments downtown Lansing if you like the more urban feel, or if you're looking for a suburb, there's some awesome suburbs in town that you should check out as well. I'll be posting other videos about each of those suburbs around Lansing, so you can check those out in the future. But some of my favorite would be Hazlet, Okemos, DeWitt, East Lansing, Mason. If you want to do some research on those, feel free. Now let's talk about the fun stuff. Utilities. So everything included, gas, electric, water, sewage. Our average utility payer is paying around $250 a month. And that includes taking into account our really hot summers and our really cold winters. So that's honestly not too bad when you look at the national average. One of the things that I would take into account when you're considering moving here is that Lansing, Michigan is not exactly known for its public transportation. Although CATA, public bus transportation, is actually ranked in the top of the country. It's a great benefit to have the CATA system, but if you're a walker or a biker, you may find that challenging in the winters. That's why the majority of people in the Lansing area actually own a vehicle. On top of that, Lansing is a big city, so short commuting is fine, but you may need to go to suburbs, and Lansing from end to end can take about 30 minutes to get across. On top of that, with our harsh climate, most people are going to buy a 4-wheel drive car. So this is definitely something you're going to want to be taking into account when you're considering what it's going to cost to live here. You're going to have auto insurance, and you're going to have a payment for a vehicle most likely. On top of that, I got gas this morning. It was like $3.20. Of course, it's not as high as some of the bigger cities on the east and west coast of the country, but that's not exactly cheap for gas. So as I mentioned, the Capital Area Transportation Authority, aka CATA, was actually just named the best transit system of its size in North America. For the low price of $35 per month, you can get an unlimited ride pass, and it will take you all over the city, including the suburbs, and it goes to all of the hot spots, including groceries, shopping, the university, and downtown. So if owning a car is just not an option for you, the transit system is pretty great. We obviously also have options for Uber and Lyft, and it's pretty affordable because we're not a big city. On top of that, of course, we have the electric scooters. Whether you're a Bird, Lime, Lyft, whatever you decide to use, we probably have it here. Although it can be a bit of an eyesore, if you go downtown East Lansing or Lansing, you're going to see these scooters everywhere. If Feel free to hop on one, take one for a cruise, but be safe. Now we get to talk about one of my favorite things, which is food. What does it cost? If you are a foodie like me and you want to check out some of our awesome restaurants in town, get ready to spend approximately $20 to $30 per person. If you want to add drinks onto that, I'd say $30 to $40 a plate. But we are at no shortage of awesome restaurants to check out. So if you are a foodie and you plan on checking out a lot of these, that can end up getting really expensive. Because of this, I've limited going out to eat to about one time a week with my girlfriend, which is really fun because then we get to make it a date night and check out a different restaurant every time. So we spend most of our food budget at the grocery store, which is awesome because our grocery stores typically cost about 10% less than the national average. We have all of the big names for groceries, whether you're looking for a wholesale like Costco, Sam's Club, or BJ's, or whether you want to go to Kroger or Meijer. If you're not from the area, I highly suggest you look into some of these because they are great locations and have a lot of bang for the buck. Here's the fun part, sales tax. Michigan has a 6% sales tax which you pay on all goods except for groceries. This is about 1% less than the national average, although there are some cities that don't even have sales taxes. So when you're considering the cost of living in an area, you need to take all of this into account. This money gets set aside and used for local and state items such as schools, roads, etc. So you really can't complain about it too much because if you weren't going to pay for it via sales tax, you'd end up paying for it somehow. And honestly, maybe they should increase it because our roads here really suck. While we are on the subject of taxes, I may as well say that we are one of 9 states that has a flat rate income tax. Our income tax is only 4.5%, but Lansing and East Lansing both have an additional 1% tax that you're going to have to pay on income generated in either of those cities. Next, we are on to healthcare. All of us need it. None of us like to pay for it. On average, we are about 86% of the national average in terms of what it costs to pay for your health care. So if you have a lot of health needs, you're going to the doctor a lot, or you're getting a lot of medications, that's probably good to hear. Lansing has 2 hospitals right now, which is great because it kind of drives some competition. There's not a complete monopoly. We have Sparrow Health Systems, which is now owned by U of M, and we have McLaren Health, which built a hospital about 2 years ago. If you work for an employer who does not offer health insurance or you're self-employed like me, the average cost of health insurance is going to be about $400 a month here. So taking all of this into account, if you're considering moving to Michigan, Lansing is one of the most affordable cities to live in. Looking at Lansing versus Detroit, Lansing is considerably less expensive to live in. It's about 14% less to be exact. And in comparison to Grand Rapids, it's almost the same. We're actually about 15% less than living in Grand Rapids. So now I've talked about some of the home prices in the Lansing area, but now I'm going to show you actually some listings that are currently on the market to show you how affordable a home that you may be looking for actually is. One of the things that people love so much about living in the Lansing area is our top-ranked school districts. With that being said, if you're looking for a top-ranked school district, you're probably going to end up paying more to be in those districts. There's just higher demand and less homes. If you open up a broad search and look for homes over $300,000 in the Lansing area, you're going to see that most of these homes are in those areas with the better school districts. I'll be uploading a video over the next couple weeks that's going to talk all about the best school districts in the Lansing area, which will fill you in a little bit more, and I'll also talk about the cost of the homes in the area during that video. I am a mid-Michigan expert. I've lived here my entire life, and I've sold real estate in this area for about 6 years. If you're considering moving to this area, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. As I mentioned, that's why I'm making these videos. When I get texts or calls from people who have found me through my YouTube channel, there's nothing I love more. It is really fun to have a way to get connected with people I never would have met otherwise. Even if you are in the very early steps of considering a move to mid-Michigan, feel free to reach out to me and I can start discussing some of these things in more depth with you. You can message me through my email or my cell phone number, which are both in the description. So that's a wrap for this video. I'll catch you guys next time.